Kshitij and I'm live with Shoot Guru, and today we are talking with Anna Brandt, who is an international photographer for maternity and newborn. She is an amazing, multi-talented photographer who has done some really mind-blowing work. If you go to her profile, you will find some really amazing stuff. And we are live with her. It is 9 a.m. in California. She's joining us from California. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask them. Put it in the question box next to your comment section and you will be answered as well. Other than this, I hope you guys are doing very well. Welcome to this live session with Shoot Guru, and it's me, Kshitij, again, welcoming you here. And guys, all these live sessions will be available on the Shoot Guru app, and they will be available free to view for all of you. All our old live sessions are also there. There are some really good live sessions like by Mr. Daburatnani and other Aditya Verma, we had Dargai, and a lot of other people and experts that we have talked to in the past. Hey Vikrant, hey Fianshu. How are you guys doing? Hey Chris, hey Arati. Hi Mona. And Anna is here as well. Let's get Anna. Guys, I'm going to turn the comment section off after a while, so please put in the question. Hi Anna, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good. How are things there in California?
Good. It's Sunday. I'm in my kitchen. The kids are still sleeping. I'm having tea. It's really warm. It's good.
Yeah, we finished our Sunday today, so we're actually literally 12 and a half hours ahead. And yeah, it's been a very hectic week, waiting for a new week to start. Oops. I think we lost her. Is she coming back? I'm going to try and get her back again. Just 1 second.
Sorry, I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay, let me position my phone. Hold on 1 second. Here. Oops. Okay. All right, there we go. Good. Okay, now I can be hands-free. Okay, I'm good. I'm here. I'm ready.
So Anna, how have you been? How's the lockdown been for you, and how have things been?
Well, we were shut down for a couple of months, and during those months I did a lot of live education because I teach online. So I worked on that, and then we were able to go back to work. And when I first went back to work, I had a range of like 2-month babies and 1-week babies and 3-week babies. And even now, every given week, it's a range between 1 week and like a month and a half or something like that. But we're kind of restricted, but not. Like we can shoot, but the restaurants they had to shut down the restaurants and bars. You can eat outside, but a lot of restaurants are opening up. So it's really tricky here. We're not in 100% lockdown anymore. Most businesses are operating, but you still need to be careful because especially working with newborns, I don't want to get sick.
Yeah, so, that's right.
Yeah, so I'm still limiting my own involvement and my kids too. We really don't go anywhere. I just kind of go between the studio and the home, and maybe the beach once or twice a week to shoot and things like that. But we're really not attending social events or big gatherings or anything like that, just because we want to stay healthy and not get sick.
I think that's a good thing, because what I also feel, because we've opened up and literally everything is working again, except for restaurants. Of course, restaurants and malls are closed, but offices are running. You have a lot of traffic on the streets. People are moving about. But I think in the end, it's us who have to be careful on our own. We can't really depend on anything else. Okay, so coming to a very interesting thing that you do, it's with babies, it's with newborn babies, and then you have maternity shoes, and I've seen some of your work, which is literally mind-blowing. And the concepts and the whole emotion that comes out is so amazing. So how did your journey start in photography, and when did you know that newborn and maternity was your calling, and you didn't want to do anything else?
You know, I always liked maternity and newborn. So that was pretty early on. I became an aunt. Gosh, my first nephew, I think he's like 28 now. Yeah, I think he's like 28. Remember photographing him when he was a baby, just as an amateur photographer. And two of my brothers were married and had kids when I was just getting out of school. And so I was already a hobbyist photographer and was super in love with babies. I had always loved babies. I was in the church nursery. I babysat at 12. I always loved babies. And being the youngest of five, I think the youngest one always loves babies. Like my youngest daughter loves babies. She's the babysitter. She's exactly how I was. She started babysitting at 12. I started babysitting at 12. So I always gravitated towards babies and children more than adults. I was very shy and quiet. So I'm more of an introvert, not an extrovert. So I was never really into weddings or events, even though I've done them. I never really felt like I had the personality for it, and it wasn't interesting to shoot. What I love about babies and children is you can kind of be a silent observer. Well, with children, you can be a silent observer, and you can just follow them around and watch them and play with them. And with babies, they're not talking to you. Maternity, I always loved. Many know my story. I'm adopted, and so I don't have any photos of my biological mother or my family. So I was always attracted to motherhood just because I didn't have my own biological mother to look at. So I was an amateur for 10 years before I went pro. And when I say amateur, I wasn't charging anyone. I never charged family and friends. I had done weddings for friends, events, children. I just kind of shot everything. The beach, flowers. I mean, I had a camera. So I was interested in the photography aspect. And, you know, it's different for me because, like I said, I was interested in photography generally. I wasn't planning on going pro. I didn't have this grand plan to become a maternity newborn photographer or to like rule the world. No, not at all. My love was for photography. For a while, I studied macro photography, photographing flowers. I have a whole collection in storage of flowers. I used to work with Polaroid emotion transfers, and I would shoot flowers on Polaroid and take a toothpick and then play with the emulsion. I would hand paint flowers. I sold a collection of flowers to, I remember my husband, we were dating at the time. He had a friend who was designing an office, and he's like, oh, my wife shoots flowers for a hobby. And so I sold her a bunch of prints for her office for flowers. My first photo competitions were of beach photos. I went and I had a Holga camera. It was like a used Holga from eBay that I paid like $20 for. And I went to the beach, used my Holga camera, took a photo, printed it on watercolor paper, hand painted it. And I remember I went to my first competition in Pasadena, California, and drove there and put on display. So my passion was the true art itself, trying to understand exposure and light and my camera and how I can manipulate. I learned infrared photography. So I spent 6 months going to Huntington Gardens in Pasadena, learning how to switch out film under my shirt so I wouldn't expose it. And I have a whole collection of infrared photography. And I decided to go pro. I knew I wanted to specialize in maternity and newborn. I followed Ann Geddes' early work. But I also studied Ansel Adams. I had like 5 books of his calendars. So I was very into the black and white portrait. So before I went pro, I had 10 years of just playing. And that's what I tell photographers all the time is learn the art of photography, learn how to use your camera, learn how to manipulate light, play with it, have fun, photograph shoes if you want. When I went pro, I didn't have a body of work of maternity and newborn because I hadn't shot that. I had children and flowers and trees. And when I moved to California, my husband's friends were all getting pregnant. He was the last of his friends to get married. And he was like, oh, my wife's an amateur photographer. I know she's likes maternity and newborn. I'm sure she'll do your pictures. So I photographed all of his friends, pregnant, and then their newborns. Didn't charge them, just was like, oh, I just love this. Shot black and white film and took some additional courses. I had been taking courses for 10 years. And when I went pro, because I was a web designer for so many years, I created a website mainly for my children photography. In California, I started shooting children models first. That was my first paying children models, child models, because it's easy to do here. And then what I was at night, I would study maternity, newborn, take classes, and just kept perfecting my craft. So I tell people, when you say you're going to specialize in something, first of all, it doesn't even mean you know how to do it. That means that you have a passion for it. My passion, I found over years, was the maternity and newborn subject. But my true love is photography. I mean, it's just photography in general. So there are times even now when I travel with the kids, I'll take pictures of tunnels, and we were in Jerusalem and I was taking pictures of doorways, and sometimes I'll see something. My son is camping this week. He comes home today, and last night he sent me photos of the beach. He sent me photos of a truck. He sent me a self-portrait. So, I think that you have to love photography and then pick something that you want to work on.
On that part, that's been an amazing journey. And I really love the part where you've mentioned that you built a portfolio, or you worked on yourself for 10 years before you actually started off. Because these days, most of the kids who come to us, the first question they ask before even learning anything is how much I'm going to earn. And every time I get that question and I'm looking at their face and I'm saying zero. And they're looking at me and say, okay, I'm spending so much money on camera and equipment. So my next question was, how important is technical knowledge and how important is the aesthetics of the creativity? And how do you develop, technical you would get on the web, it's easy. You can take courses, but how do you develop the aesthetics? Because if I look at the images that you create, the kind of content that you are creating, especially, let's just pick one of them up. I have kind of, lined up a few, something like this. It's beautiful. It's just beautiful. You look at it and you say it's a painting more than a photograph. So I say that there is a form of aesthetics there. So how should people be working on aesthetics when they're practicing, when they're beginning? Because technically they will get somehow.
So a couple things, and I'll talk about that photo. Technical knowledge, to me, trumps everything. It's the most important thing. Because when I started, it was mostly men in the business. And I was a female photographer, a Spanish one on top of it. There were not a lot of Spanish female photographers when I started. I didn't know any. So I remember my adopted mother has a master's in psychology and she has a master's in divinity. And my parents always taught me that you should learn, like you have to study, you have to learn the technical first. They're not photographers, but I never wanted to be someone who didn't know how to use my camera. Okay. So you can allow yourself to imagine the image or get the creativity to me without the technical knowledge. Now, some people may argue that. Some people may say, no, I have lots of creativity, but I don't have the technical. But then I say, but then how can you execute that creativity without the technical knowledge? You can have all the ideas in the world, but if you don't know how to execute them, if you don't know how to find the light and direct the composition and the time of the day to shoot, then you're going to be lost. Everyone is in a rush. Everybody just wants to get their gear and they want to just go. They want to make money. They want popularity. They want everyone to know their name. They want all of these things that take a lifetime to achieve. There are many days that I wake up and I think my work is boring or I don't think it's good. The money comes. It doesn't come immediately. And it's not just photography, it's any job. You know, a baker, a cook, a designer, you're not going to just show up in cute clothes and a cute camera and someone's going to pay you a lot of money. It takes time, and you have to invest in your gear and your knowledge, and you have to be patient, and you have to shoot on your own. You know, I spent a lot of time shooting on my own before I put people in front of my camera. Like I said, flowers, trees. I mean, I was never good with animals, but I would spend hours on a rose, you know, to understand dimension and light and shadow and things like that. So technical knowledge is so important. I wish people would slow down. Photography's not going anywhere. It's going to be around forever. I wish people would understand that success does not come overnight, that it takes a really long time. There's a lot of false success out there. Someone will post, they'll get an amazing shot, and then they'll post it on Facebook, and everyone will love them, and they want their card and their number. Yeah. And they think, oh yeah, I'm amazing, I'm great. And then they make a mistake, they undercharge. So they're cheap. So everybody flocks to them because they're cheap. And then they work all night editing because they're fixing their mistakes. And it's this whole spiral of now they're overworked and they're underpaid, and now they're upset because they're underpaid. And oh, I could go on and on and on. That picture, I'll tell you something about that picture. It was during quarantine. Everything was shut down. What?
Wow.
Yeah, it was during.
I expect that to be during quarantine. I thought that was an older picture.
Nope. It's my first picture in quarantine. We hadn't left the house, I think, in like a month. Hadn't been to my studio. Everything was shut down. I wish I could remember the day that I thought to even order the mermaid tails. I don't even remember. I had never shot mermaids before. I think I was just bored and browsing on, I don't even know. And I bought tails, and then I thought, oh, I should buy wigs. I don't know why. I literally don't know why. I think inspiration comes sometimes when you're just not looking for it. I was just having a day. I was home. The kids were home. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to buy tails and wigs. I didn't even really explain to my daughters what I was doing because I didn't know what I was doing. And lower and lower because usually I do an hour and a half before sunset. So now we're losing time. We spent a half an hour driving the coast to find a beach. Everything's closed. The parking lots are shut down. Nobody's out. So I said, let's just try one more beach. We find this beach that it's still closed, but you can park a mile away and walk down to the beach. And there were people there. Now people are leaving. So I was like, okay, let's do that. You have to park on PCH, on Pacific Coast Highway, which is very dangerous. He's like, you're out of your mind. I think we should turn back. And I was like, but we've come this far. And he's like, but Anna, I don't even think I can film you. I can't even see in front of us. I was like, my daughters are like, what are we doing? And then they're like, Mom, let's just do it. We don't know what you want to do, but let's just do it. We walk on the highway with my daughters. It's getting dark. We're holding on to the tails, the wigs. We have to come down a hill. We're sliding down the hill. We get to this spot. You can't even see, like there were people there, they couldn't even see us. Like people were coming up, getting close, going, oh, they're mermaids, because they couldn't, the fog was so thick. Alex, my videographer, is like, Anna, my visibility is 3 feet. That's it. And I was like, I don't know, just keep shooting. I had no assistant, so I had to run back and forth, fix the wigs, fix the tails. The last shot, my daughter went in the water and her wig went off. I mean, it was, wow. The actual shooting time was maybe 15 minutes. I had no time. And I just, this composition, I don't even remember doing. I remember saying, Ava, lift up, shoulders down, lift up. And they say that I say it all the time. They're like, Mom, you always say that. And I always say, lift up through the torso, chin out, look out, shoulders down, relax. I always say the same things. So they kind of have known this. And we got the shots, got out of there. We came home. It was dark. I didn't even look at them right away because I didn't even think I had anything. And it wasn't until I started editing and the pictures were so dark and the fog was so thick. And then that's when kind of the magic happened. And I have this picture this big above my bed upstairs. And I tell my daughters every day, that is my favorite part of quarantine, my favorite part of the world being shut down. I will look at this photo for the rest of my life and have such a fun memory because it's about photography. It's about the experience. My daughters, they had no idea what they were doing. They looked at me and they thanked me. They thanked me. I have teenage daughters, 15 and 17. And at the end of the night, they said, Mom, wow, that was so much fun. Thank you. And I tell people that you have to have people that you can trust and they can trust you. So like my videographer, we've been working together 8 years. He trusts me and I trust him. It didn't start out that way. It took years for us to kind of get into a groove. My daughters, we have a really good relationship and they trust me and I trust them. And I tell people that over the years, I've worked with people for just fun. If I'm bringing in a model or I'm doing portfolio work just for me, that picture was for me. It wasn't for anybody. It wasn't to make a lot of money. I didn't even think I was going to offer it to clients at the time. It was literally for me and me only. When you create work that's truly for you, that's when you're going to get the most vision, the most clarity. You're going to be the most creative because there's nothing inhibiting you. There was no one pressuring me. There was no pressure of money, which is actually better. I don't have to stress. It's not a celebrity. It's not money. It's not someone's time other than my family's. It's just, let's just go and see what happens. And too many people have this expectation. They put so much pressure on themselves. I want to make money. I want people to know me. I want people to recognize me. They have all these rules and then they can't do the work because you're not allowing your mind to be open to the work that is supposed to be there for you to create because you've already blocked it with all of your rules.
Amazing, amazing. That is such a nice thing to hear. And believe me, I can imagine the kind of situation you were in. A lot of people would have just given up and they would have said, okay, let's look at whatever we can and just go back. And looking at that, I would have never imagined the story you told me. I would have literally not. For me, that was an older shoot, a big setup with a few assistants with you and everything. That's wow. That's actually wow. So one question I keep getting, and this one people wanted me to ask you as well. What motivated you every day and what still does to pick up the camera and go out and shoot when you were not getting paid?
Because I love it. Because I love it. I love photography. I ask people all the time, if someone told you you could never do photography again, would you feel sad? When we were in quarantine and the world was shut down and I was told I could not go to work, at first I was just sad. I was like, what is happening? I didn't even think about the financial strain or how much money I would lose. I just was like, oh, wow, okay. And it was days later that I ended up going live from my home. I didn't get paid to do that. I did a live training from my home. We put on 3 free summits because I love photography. I love it. And I've loved it since I was 16 years old. And if I never got paid again, I wouldn't stop doing it. As far as motivation, you have to be your own motivating factor. I suffer from a lot of fatigue because I have a iron immune issue where I lose blood and iron from my body every day. So for the past 10 years, it happened 10 years ago. I was sick, and next thing I know, I was hospitalized, and they said to my husband that I was going to die in 7 days. True story. 10 years ago, my daughter was 4, sitting on my hospital bed. I heard them yelling at my husband, telling them, your wife is dying. I had lost 75% of my iron. I had lost 60% of my blood. I was white. I had no oxygen, and I had just gotten a cold, and I just kept getting worse to the point where I couldn't really stand. I was just really weak. So they ran blood tests, and they said I was like a walking dead zombie, that I should not have been alive, that if I had not went to the hospital, I would have died from pulmonary hypertension, where lack of oxygen to the brain. And the only reason I went to the hospital is because I went to my doctor and I wasn't feeling well, and she ran a blood test, and it was my daughter's 4th birthday. I'll never forget this day. My son at the time, he was 8. He was getting the only art award they had ever given at his public school. It was the only time I had scheduled a birthday party on my child's birthday. Ava, my 4-year-old, threw up in my bed. She had 102 fever. So my doctor calls. I'm drying my hair. It's like 8 in the morning, and she's like, you have to go to the hospital now. I was like, no, my daughter's sick. My son's getting an award. I have a photo shoot. It was so frantic. We dropped everything and went to the hospital. I stayed there for a week. I remember having a workshop. My assistant had to cancel like everything for a week. Could not even stand up. Make a long story short, there's been no cure since then. Something, it's called severe anemia, iron deficiency, something, where basically I'm losing blood all the time. I'm not bleeding. It vanishes from my body, and then blood takes your iron. So I have to get iron infusions through IV, but I'm allergic to IV iron. Go figure. So for them to give me the iron, they have to put me to sleep. I have to have 6 different drugs. This is so true. I could name all the drugs. They have to put me to sleep. They have to infuse me for an hour and a half, and then I wake up. I do this six weeks at a time, every 3 months for 10 years. I have had so many tests. I just finished swallowing a camera. I had a capsule endoscopy 2 weeks ago. I just did another test a month ago. That I'm so severe that during quarantine, they approved me for a test. The hospital called me and approved me for an endoscopy when the hospital was shut down. So because of that, I suffer from fatigue, because when you don't have blood or iron, you physically feel tired. So my friends know me, they'll say infused Anna, meaning when I get it right before quarantine, when the world shut down, I was getting my infusions. In fact, I remember I had 3 and they called me and said they couldn't finish because they were closing. And my husband got on the phone and said, no, she has to finish. Like, because we don't know how long we're going to be shut down. If she doesn't get this, she'll die. I have about a 9-month lifespan. If I stop my infusions, I would probably only live to maybe 9 months to a year if I were to stop my infusions. So we begged my doctor to give me my infusions. So we went like 3 weeks into quarantine. I go to a cancer facility. I get these infusions. And then they shut down. They said I couldn't get any more. So I'm fine at the moment. It only lasts like 3 to 5 months. So I'll be due very soon. So what happens is when I first get infused, I feel great. I can tackle the world. I can travel. I feel amazing. That feeling really only lasts like 2 months. Now imagine every 2 months, you feel like your body is completely empty. You feel like, I can only explain that there's like no gas in the car. Like I start getting fatigue in my legs. My hands start tingling. I have such fatigue that to get out of bed literally requires my mental state to say, Anna, get out of bed, because otherwise I'm so physically fatigued that it's hard to move my legs. So this is something I've never even shared live before, but the people that are close to me know. My point of saying that is, when I do share this story, I meet people all over the world that have cancer or autoimmune diseases, or I'm not the only one. My story is actually very minor compared to people that have lupus or have other autoimmune diseases. There's way worse situations than mine. Mine is controlled. I have 5 doctors that take very, very good care of me. I'm monitored. My blood is monitored. But my point is, when you talk about motivation, I have 3 children that I have to teach them every single day to get up. Get up regardless of how you're feeling. You've got to get up regardless of who's talking about you, regardless of who's putting you down. During the quarantine, my son had just come back from being out of the country for a month. He was in Mumbai, then he went to Thailand, then he met me in Bali. He's been traveling the world for 1.5 years. When the world shut down, my son was feeling like a part of him was taken away. He couldn't go film. He couldn't go travel. He couldn't go see his friends. My daughters had to finish school at home. They couldn't see anybody. I had to motivate them. I had to say, okay, get up. We're going to take the dogs for a walk. They started painting. They started drawing. They started reading their books again. And they did that because they saw that I didn't give up, that I kept going, even though I was still getting infusions. And they've seen me with needles in my arm, and they've seen me not feeling well. And they see that I get up anyway, because I'm not joking when I say you have one life. Like, you have one life. So to me, people act like they're going to get a second and third chance. Like, this is it. What are you waiting for? You only have one life. So I love photography. I love my children. I've got to raise them to make a difference in this world and to follow their own art. And so me laying in bed feeling sorry for myself, me complaining, I had a friend tell me, Anna, why haven't you complained during the quarantine about not being able to go out or wearing a mask? I go, why would I complain? I'm alive. I'm healthy. I'm not in a hospital bed. Why would I complain? So I feel like people need to stop complaining and do the work that you're called to do. What are you called to do? That's what you're supposed to be doing, and stop paying attention to what other people think of you or the things that you expect yourself to do, and just do the work. That was a long answer.
Oh, amazing. I mean, thank you for sharing that for me and for a lot of others, because I'm facing something similar of my own. And I know a few other filmmakers and photographers who are struggling with similar things, which are literally uncurable. And we get up every day thanking God that we have another day to live. And then there are those privileged ones which have a healthy lifestyle and can literally do anything with it, and they get up every day just to complain that why is there something happening to them. So I totally agree that be thankful, start working ahead, and keep pushing for it, and you will be successful. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And so, okay, let's take the mood a little lighter and get back to some bit of what you love. So we love what you click, and maternity photographs for me have always been a little complicated because you need to ask the mother to be to get a picture clicked when you know there are sureties and unsureties in life about everything. So, what is the process that you follow when you're doing maternity shoots, and how do you talk to these to-be parents, and how do you convince them? Or one, they look at the pictures that you click, they are already convinced, okay, I'm going to get a good product. But to come up, pose like that, dress up like that, and be beautiful during maternity, how do you do that? How do you, what process do you follow?
Sure. I actually say that maternity sessions are like a date. Like I have to get to know you and you have to get to know me. And so I tell them, you're going to just have to trust me, because women will tell me, oh, my arms are fat, my chin, my belly, my thighs, oh, on and on and on. I go, I remember I was pregnant 3 times. I gained a lot of weight. So what I always do is we prepare for the session. I say, tell me things that you like of my work. Send me poses that you like. And send me any inspiration photos. When they send me their inspiration photos, I ask for this before the session so that I can see what is in their mind. What is it that they're drawn to? What do they like? So when they send me photos, if they send me photos where a woman is nude, then I can see, okay, they like that nudity, but they may be nervous. And when I say send me photos, I'm not saying tell me what you don't like about yourself. I just say tell me what you do like. So they'll send me photos, and based upon those photos, I can see what they're attracted to. So if the photos are more conservative, I think, okay, they're going to be covered more. If the photos are more nude or revealing, I say, okay, they like that. Then I ask them to pick the clothes from my closet. And so because I have a store, I say, pick anything you want. But I do say, if you see something out there that you don't know if I have, just send it to me for inspiration, because maybe I'll make something, maybe I'll just get some fabric. I love to try new things. My thing is, I hate repeating my own work. So if a client sends me a photo, like that picture of the woman with the wings, that's in New York City in Central Park. That fabric I had just bought and made a dress from. I didn't even know if I liked that fabric. My friend had these wings. I hadn't shot with those wings before. My friend met me in New York and she's like, oh, you should try these wings. I love working with like-minded people. So it's super important to surround yourself with creative friends, people that are up for anything, that don't have any judgment. Like sometimes my friends will bring me something and they'll be like, try these wings. And I'll be like, I don't know if I like these wings. And they're like, just try them. Or I love to collaborate with people because it forces me to get out of my comfort zone. So if a client sends me pictures that I've done, the first thing I think of is how can I do it differently? And I'll even tell my clients, I don't want to repeat the same image, because they'll pick like the same dress and the same wings. And I'll say, yeah, but I don't want to repeat it exactly the same because that's not you. So let's figure out how I can make it exactly the same. So then during this session, I start with the most clothes first. I rarely start with nude. The only time I would start with nude is if mom says, can we start with nude so I don't have any marks on my body, because I get really hot and sweaty and I don't want marks on my body, but can I start with nude? That maybe 5% of the time. I just had a session the other day and mom had picked, not nude, but more revealing outfits, but then she picked outfits that were fully covered. And so the husband was there and he's like, oh, it's mostly about her. And I said, you know what? It's going to be like a date. We're going to start. We're just getting to know each other. You're going to put the full gowns on. I'm going to warm you up. We're going to test the lighting. I need to see your expressions. What makes you smile? What doesn't work? What's your good side? What's your not good side? We're just going to warm it up. And so the first session, I say it's like a workout as well. You have warm up, intensity, and cool down, like a workout. So warm up, like a date, like a workout, is just me getting to understand their energy, their vibe. Are they nervous? I had a session yesterday and she was so nervous. The first pictures, I couldn't get her to relax. And so I said, how long have you been together? And she said, 3 years. And I said, okay, did you have wedding photos? And she said, yeah. I said, it's just like that. You're with your husband. She goes, yeah, but you know, the photographer really directed me. And I go, I'm going to direct you. Don't worry. And she goes, yeah, I don't know what to do. I go, then just listen to me. So the first set was really hard because even though I was directing her, she wouldn't do anything I was telling her. So I was like, if you want to get good photos, you're going to have to listen to me. You're going to have to relax. You're going to have to just focus. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to make sure that you look good. That's my job, is to make sure you look good. I'm even going to show you a photo. Do you want me to show you a photo? I'm going to show it to you. So then I'll show it to them and they'll go, oh, that looks so good. And I'm like, yeah, now can you relax? And they'll go, oh, okay. And every time I think they're nervous, especially if we're doing nude or a bodysuit or that picture of her in the pink robe, I had just made that robe. She was the first person to wear it. So for me with the robe, I didn't know I wanted the robe to be. She was very tiny and the pink robe, when she put it on, it filled her whole body. So I was like, let's take it off your shoulders and just hold the robe, because she was so petite that I was like, oh, the robe is too big. So when she held the robe, I was like, just turn this way or that way. So many times during a maternity session, it's me trying to figure out what looks good. Like if you were to watch me in a session, I'd probably look like I don't know what I'm doing. Because I'm like, oh, try this. No, try that. Oh, maybe pull it down. Oh, put your arm there. No, don't do that. Oh, do this. And sometimes I'm like, oh, that doesn't look good. And they'll be looking at me like, okay. And I'm like, no, it's just me. Let me figure it out. So I'm completely honest with them. We're working through it. Ansel Adams said that photography is a mutual collaboration between the photographer and the subject. You've got to come together. I can't just be the boss. I need your energy too. So I have to just be super honest. And I'll joke sometimes. I'll be like, I don't know what I'm doing. And they'll look at me like, don't you have 20 years experience? I'm like, yeah, but I've never used this robe before. So I don't know what I'm doing. Or I've never used this dress before. Or I've never used these wings before. Or I'll be in Dubai and I'm like, I've never been in Dubai before. Or, you know, I'm all over the world. So sometimes I'll be like, India? I don't even know. I've never been in Mumbai. And, you know, I'm like trying to figure out the culture and the material. I remember the first time I went to Mumbai, she said, I had brought a sheer top and she's like, well, I don't want to show my skin. We're very conservative in Mumbai. And I was like, oh, shoot. And this top is sheer. Okay, let me think about this. All right. So let me change the lighting. You're still going to wear this sheer top, but I'm going to light it so that you don't look sheer. And then you're going to have to trust me on the editing process. And she just kept looking at me like, I don't know. And I'm like, you're going to have to just. So then when I showed her in the camera, she's like, okay, that looks good. And I was like, and in the editing, I'm going to go even darker so you won't see your skin. And then she's like, okay. So I've got to deal with cultures, religions, body types, insecurities. I don't know what I'm doing half the time. But I just tell the client, you trust me? And they'll go, yeah, I think so. And I'll go, okay, so we're going to do this together. And you're going to lean back a little bit. You're going to stretch out your chin. And then when they don't do it, I just do it for them. I'm like, I'm just going to come in. You're not stretching your chin out. I'm just going to move it. And they'll go, okay. And your shoulders are up. I'm just going to push them down. And I'm just going to do this. I do that all the time. And they're like, okay. So, you know, you have to take control because they're feeling your energy. So when I say I don't know what I'm doing, it's not me going, it's not really from a level of insecurity of who I am. It's a level of, I haven't worked through the thought process. I know my technical, so don't worry about that. I know how to work this camera and I know how to work the lights. I need to figure out the energy between you and I. And that's the difference is people, if you don't have the energy, if you don't have the confidence in your camera or your lighting, maternity is going to be really hard. Maternity, you've got to know your lighting, know what's flattering to a pregnant body. I work with single light most of the time. Understand the position because your attention has to be on that mother and you've got to look from head to toe. the feet, the hands, the eyes, the shoulders, the posture, the expression, the emotion, the hair. You've got, and then you add a partner to the mix. When I do a maternity session, I literally want to go home and nap because I'm so physically exhausted. It takes every ounce of energy. You can't show up at a maternity session and be bored or be like, oh, I don't know, stand here, stand there. You've got to have your A game on. You've got to have 150% of energy and then extract the other percentage of energy from them.
And now moving from people who can talk back to you and they can actually give you feedback to somebody who doesn't really give you a feedback and you have to manage around. So how hard is it to actually click newborns? Because I've never tried it for one simple reason. I'm afraid of shooting children with the camera because I like children. It's not that I don't like children. I definitely like children, but I'm just afraid that they start crying. What will I do? If they get cranky, what do I do? I've got only 4 hours with them. How many shots can I take in those 4 hours? Because when I did start, I did do a lot of baby photography, did try my hands on it. But I think I didn't have the patience to do it that much. That is the reason I even moved to film, because film was much faster than photography in that matter. But yeah, so how do you deal with that and how do you focus on these kind of beautiful shots that you create in the end? I mean, and there's one very, very specific question that I will ask you post this answer, which is a little funny, but I will definitely ask that. But this first.
Okay, so babies, you have no control over these little beings. Wrap and wrap well. That's the only thing I can tell you. They cry, they scream, they sometimes, but I kind of know now. I photograph them early in the day. I do not photograph them in the afternoon or at night. They're terrible. Early in the morning, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning is ideal. Parents are like, 8 in the morning, no way, I'm exhausted. I'm like, you can show up in your pajamas, but if you want a good session, you need to come 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, because that's going to be the best sleep of the baby's day because they've been up all night. And so that morning sleep, 8, 9, 10 o'clock, is the best sleep of the day. The afternoon and the evening, babies don't want to be bothered. So there's a couple things I know work. Shooting babies in the morning, I know works. Wrapping works. Every time I have a mom tell me, oh, the baby doesn't like to be wrapped. I'm like, yes, they do. No, they don't. Then you don't know how to wrap well. I had a 1-month-old Friday, I think it was, Thursday. I don't even know what's today, Sunday. I don't even know the days. I had a 1-month-old baby this week, one day. And I'm like, I'm going to wrap this baby, even though they're a month. And I use 2 wraps at the minimum. And I put the air on because it's so hot right now. It's really hot. And so people think, oh, make it super hot. No, because the babies are sweating. When you have super hot, even if that baby is 1 week, if you're going to wrap them, you need cool air or they're not going to be happy. 1 month, almost always in the summer, we have the air on. My staff loves babies in the summer because they know I put the air on. This 1-month baby, not only did I have the air on, I had a cooling fan on. I wrapped that baby twice and even a 3rd time. The air is cool, so their skin is cool. They are wrapped. They're not going anywhere. They can cry all they want, but they're not going anywhere. And so this baby was so content. Mom and dad were staring at the baby going, the dad's like, my baby has never slept this well, ever. Because when they walked in, they're like, good luck. Our baby's a month, good luck. And I'm like, a month isn't bad at all. And they're like, no, this baby never sleeps. And it was baby number 4. And they're like, baby never sleeps, wide awake, good luck. This baby slept most of the session. I don't think this baby even cried. They were just looking at me. Dad was just staring at me like, what do you, show me that wrap again. And he told the mom, he goes, we have to go home and tell the nanny, because they said the baby doesn't nap at all during the day. The nanny is so frustrated because she has 3 other kids to take care of and she can't put the baby down. And I said, does the nanny wrap the baby? And they go, no, not during the day. I go, why? And they're like, I don't know. She's our nanny. We're going to go home and tell her to wrap the baby. This baby was perfect. And so I know wrapping works 99.9% of the time. And even when they're awake, Wrapping works. And then if I unwrap them and they're upset, guess what? They're going to get wrapped again, and they're going to get wrapped again. And I could wrap a baby 8 times in a session. And then the naked shots, if they're a fussy baby, they may be the last shot. Sometimes my favorite image is the last shot of the day, because too many times newborn photographers, they start with what they want. Oh, I have this new prop, I have to photograph it. Or, oh, I want this dream catcher shot. Or, oh, I need this. And I used to do that. So I know. I used to have this fixated image in my mind. Guess what would happen? Baby wouldn't do it. Baby would cry. I'd spend an hour trying to get the froggy pose. Finally, one day, years ago, I woke up. I was like, why am I wasting all this time? So now I tell myself, Anna, do what you know. What I know is babies like to be wrapped. And so when mom gives me images they like, I say, just be patient. I will get to it. But right now I'm going to do all the things that are easy that I know. I'm going to wrap them. And I may even wrap them in the dream catcher, wrap them in parent posing, wrap them in the sibling posing, wrap them in a bucket. I'll wrap them for 2 hours. And then when they're just so sleepy and so tired and they just don't care what I'm doing, that's when I unwrap and I do the naked poses and the harder poses, because I can get them like in 3 seconds. But if you try to do those poses when the baby is fussy, you're not going to get it. So you're going to waste time.
My funny question was that, do you actually get them to drink something before you start shooting so they sleep?
People ask me that all the time. They'll be like, on YouTube, on my channel, I mean, look, my YouTube channel has like 40 million views. Let me tell you, I have a lot of crazy comments. Every day, I'll get comments, she drugs the babies, or they're not real. The comment will come through, is that baby real? I'm like, the babies, you could see the heartbeat going. Almost every day, is that baby real? She drugs the babies, she gives them something. So then I joke, I was like, yeah, that's why I've been a photographer for 20 years, because parents bring me their brand new babies. I drug them. They go to sleep. Everything's fine. The parents pay me to do it. Everything's fine. Like, what parent in the world is going to let me drug their baby? Like, and I'm still going to be in business and nobody's arrested me for drugging babies. Like, people, the last week, a father was like, did you give that baby something when I wasn't looking? Because the baby was sound asleep. And I was like, okay, my videographer's videoing everything I do. Do you want to watch his reel? Do you want to go back and watch the footage? Sometimes I'm live. Like I'm one of the most watched photographers in the world. You really think I'm going to drug a baby? You know, like, I'm so nervous sometimes, like, I'm going to drop a baby. Like when I'm doing parents in the hands, oh, I hate that, because I tell the parents, if this baby pees, they're going to be slippery. Like, they're going to slip out of your hands and you're going to drop your baby. So can you not drop your baby? So when dad's holding baby like this, my heart is beating. I have an assistant right there, because I'm so afraid the baby's going to pee and dad's going to slip. So I do that shot like this, and I just look at the dad. I'm like, please don't drop your baby. Please don't drop your baby, because I can't handle a baby being hurt. So you got to be able to move quick and be safe, and that's why I work with an assistant. But no, you can get babies in an absolute beautiful sleep with no drugs.
Amazing. And I understand that you also sell most of your props and the clothes and the wraps as well. So
Yes.
there was a question that said that, okay, we're starting off and we can't manage to buy any props right now. Mm-hmm. Can we start off by using things like a shawl that we get at home to wrap babies? Is it okay?
That's how I started. That's how I started. My maternity was my own sweaters with buttons, my own shawls. Newborn, I remember my first child shoot, the background was a sheet from my bed, and the daughter was wearing a robe that was given to me for my honeymoon. Yeah, you can rip up sheets, you can use blankets, just make sure they're clean. You know, I could not leave my home, and I could use a million things in my home. If I didn't have another dollar to spend, there's so much that I could make on my own. That's how I started my clothing line, is by using things that I found and materials and making things and buying inexpensive things. That's not where you need to spend your money. You need to have gear. You need to have a good camera, but even then you can buy a used camera. You need to invest in your equipment and your lighting, but even then you can buy it used, and spend the money on the things that you have to. And too many people have too many props, and they have a closet full of props and they don't even know how to use their camera. You know, so be smart, be a business person, put your business brain on, and you're a photographer, you're creative. You could do whatever you want. I've wrapped women in leaves. Do whatever you want. There's no rules. You can do whatever you want.
Amazing. And so there was a question that said that whenever she unwraps the babies, they just start crying. How do you deal with that? And additional to that, how do you deal with cranky babies as well?
So I work on a yoga ball, and yoga ball is my secret weapon. If I unwrap, I'm usually holding them on the ball and bouncing, unwrap, and I'm bouncing. And then I'm holding them and bouncing. So yoga ball, I'm telling you, parents like buy a yoga ball during the session. It's that amazing. You don't let the baby's head bounce on a yoga ball. You're holding that baby. So it's very light bouncing, and be safe. It's still warm, even though there might be air on. Air is never directly on the baby, so you make sure the environment is still warm. I don't use heating pads, but if I feel like it's too chilly, or if I'm going to go from let's say there's 3 wraps on a baby and I'm going to go naked, I may say cut the air, or put the heater on, especially if it's a small baby. Cut the air, and then I'll gently unwrap the wrap so that there's not a big temperature change. Because many times the babies freak out because there's a temperature change. They're going from super warm and snuggly, and then you're unwrapping them and they're like, ah! So you have to gently unwrap, hold them. Sometimes I'll be holding them, unwrapping them. And some babies are super cranky. I ask moms, if you're nursing, to try to avoid gassy vegetables, spicy vegetables, things that maybe would interfere with the baby. Just try and not eat those 24 to 48 hours before a session. But honestly, babies are people, and sometimes they're having a bad day. And if you have to reshoot, then reshoot. I try not to, but I've done it. And if it's not their day, it's not their day. Don't ever force a baby into a position, or just do all the things that you think will be soothing. And if nothing you can do consoles them and they're just miserable, then just say, maybe today's not their day.
Amazing. And I wish I could talk to you the whole night. I mean, it's night here, it's day there, but we're actually running out of time and we have very less time. I don't know when Instagram's going to cut me off.
Yeah.
But, and we should actually plan something bigger. I will definitely get in touch with you to do a proper workshop maybe sometime later, because I'm getting a lot of messages saying that you need to do a webinar with her. We need to have one-on-one sessions with her, and so on and so forth. We'll discuss that. And guys, we will listen to you. Some tips, I would say, let's say top few takeaways that you would want to give to newcomers who are and also people who have been doing it for a while, who don't have the experience like yourself, to start doing things, and which will help them to have a better journey and not a really hard one.
Okay. Practice. Whenever you're feeling down, or you don't have a client to shoot, or no one's paying you, that's when you should go do your best work. Go be creative, paint a backdrop, grab a friend, go have fun, get some flowers, and just play. You know, I say all the time, marketing is about who you are. People want to see you create. That's why we have DIY channels. People want to see the process. They want to see you creating. They want to see you working. They don't want to see you complaining about money. Complaining detracts. So don't do anything that's going to detract people, and only do things that will attract people. Just stay motivating yourself. You are responsible for you. Get up every day and motivate yourself. 1 foot on the floor, look in the mirror, say, I got this. I love this. If you truly love photography, learn like you're doing today, learn from others, read, but then there's going to be times where you need to just put the computer down. Stop looking at what everyone else is doing. Get motivation. Buy a magazine. Rip a page out of the magazine of something that inspires you. If there's a picture that you really love, print it out, make a list. I have lists mile long. I have 3 notebooks of all the things that I want to do. Go take a walk, have some meditation, spend some quiet time alone. My kids are still asleep right now at 10 o'clock. I love this time of day where no one's talking to me and I can just think about the things that I want to do. I promise you, in the quiet of the day or in your meditation or where you have times alone, that's where you're going to get your most creative ideas. You are creative. You need to just go create and stop waiting for people to give you permission to do it, and just do it.
Amazing, amazing. And it has been complete pleasure to have you and have this chat with you. And I regret not doing it earlier because you're such a positive person and who's given, and I'm getting a lot of comments who are saying that, so we have one very special comment that has come in, and I really want to say this out. There's a person called the Cheerful Soul, and what she says is she is awesome, much love and good wishes to her. And of course, all the other comments are and they love what you're saying. Thank you so much for giving us your time, and we hope that you be safe because you started working again. Just be careful, be safe, and keep inspiring us. That's always the best bit, what we love your work, and it inspires a lot of us. And one takeaway that is from me today's session is keep the babies warm, they will sleep. Because when babies come to us, we ramp up the air and we say, okay, it's very hot, the baby must be feeling hot, let's give him cool air to breathe. But yeah, that's something I'm going to try next time. And if I do get into doing something with babies, and I'm definitely going to try that out.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. See you.
Bye.
Guys, what an amazing session that we've had today. Anna is such an amazing person, so motivating. She's been through so much in life, and she is still going through so much in life, but still she is giving her 100% to it. And that should be motivating for us as well, because we have to give our 100% if we want to achieve our dreams, if we want to do something in life. Let's work towards it. Let's today make sure that we work toward a better future, work on our skills, practice, develop our portfolio, and of course, in the end, not fall behind, or get demotivated. And again, thank you once again, Anna, for joining in. It has been a complete pleasure. So guys, we have some very good news coming up for you guys. On 16th, we have a very special workshop. It's called Shoot From Home, wherein we will be teaching you how to shoot those amazing videos using minimalistic equipment right at your home, and how you can actually build your brand online and work on your brand and work on yourself. That is what I do. I make people look good and I make people work. And I'm going to teach you with Kabir that how you can do the same for yourself. It's called Build Your Brand Online. And of course, do it at home so you start shooting from home. Second, we have a social media masterclass, which was originally a paid class, is now 100% free masterclass happening on Saturday the 18th. It will be a 100% free session in which we will be going through how to grow on Instagram. We came across a tool recently that helped us grow very nicely on Instagram, and the growth is 100% organic, guys. There is no fake views, there is no fake likes, there is no fake comments, nothing involved but organic engagement. And we are going to reveal that tool on the 18th, that is Saturday. Both these workshops are 100% free. The link goes in my bio tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. So be there, register. It's a first come, first serve. We will have very limited spots, and it will be a first come, first serve. For all other updates and regular things, and plus, if you ever want to watch all our workshops, go to the Shoot Guru app, download the Shoot Guru app. The link is in my bio right now. It is available on Apple. It is available on Android. Download the app that suits you. There is a lot of free content available, and there are our discounted paid workshops also. Workshops that costed people about 500 rupees are going to cost you, let's say, about 100 rupees to watch, and you will also get workshop notes, the PPTs and everything as a part of it. So guys, let's learn together. Let's make learning affordable, and let's help each other grow. Saturday is going to be a collaborative session. Thursday is going to be a learning and to shoot from home session. So So do join us. Take care. Ciao.